Hi, everybody. Kellen Harned Ryan Hoke here. We're here with you this evening talking about rain. Folks are like, what snow? Where is the snow? All right, well, we've got a lot to talk about. Over the course of the next few minutes, we'll dive into this. We're going to explain why there is no snow, and while there likely is not going to be anywhere. We knew that was going to be the case for Louisville, but even as late as 5, 6 o'clock this evening, even though the trends were coming down, we still thought that we might get enough dynamic cooling to see that transition take place in our southernmost counties, Greene, Taylor, and Adair. But at this point, that's not even on the table for even those folks, and we're going to explain why over the course of the next few minutes. See a lot of folks jumping in here. We'll give a few minutes for people to jump in. We see Michael.
Hello, Michael.
We'll say hey back to you. Shonda's always a
there,
wave.
Shonda.
Always in our chats. We appreciate that. Has been for a long, long time. And Tina's here with us as well. So hello to all of you and so many others that are just now jumping in. We are looking at our SkyTrack camera. This one's down in E-Town that you see in between us. Obviously, it's raining down there. We've got rain in Bardstown. The rain came close to us here in Louisville, but most likely we're not even going to see the rain.
It literally cut off from Mount Washington to Shepherdsville and southwest and northeast of there. Jefferson County hasn't gotten a single drop of rain, and we're not going to see a single drop of rain tonight. Southern Indiana, we haven't forgotten about you. It's just you're not involved with any of this. This is all well to your south. And even our southern Kentucky counties where we've been talking about the possibility of some snow tonight, as you'll see coming up here, we have really played down what's going to happen even with that.
Well, and that's been the trend with this whole thing. I mean, first of all, on Saturday, it started in the computer models like a swath of snow north of the viewing area.
Yep.
So it was across central Indiana. And then as we watched it Saturday, as the guidance kept coming in, it was like pushing it further and further south. It was like, holy moly, it's right over us here in Louisville. We're going to get pelted with a lot of snow. Okay, well, you take that with a grain of salt, but you look at it, the next run came out, it was still over top of us. We're like, all right, well, now we need to start making people aware that we're going to have impacts with this. That's when we declared the alert day on Sunday. And then all day today, and even yesterday, it kept pushing it further and further south. And now that it's here and we can see the back edge of the precip, it's not, I mean, it's going to get close, but it's really not even going to hit our viewing area.
It was literally during the Super Bowl last night when we started to see that southward trend south of Louisville start to happen on the data. And that's when we knew we were in trouble when it came to getting any sort of snow here in Louisville. And of course, now this is pretty much south and east of our viewing area. Yeah. I mean, wow, what a weather whiplash situation here.
I hate these. These are the hardest because anytime you're dealing with and again, I said we would jump into sort of the explanations of why this one is so complicated compared to others. First of all, if the atmosphere is already cold and you're having precipitation move in from the north, that's easy because it's going to be snow. And you know the duration, you know the length for the most part. Now, there are some anomalies in there sometimes, but when you're dealing with something that's just dependent on dynamic cooling, I mean, our air temperature is still in the 40s. So to get snow, you have to cool that column of air down. And to do that, you have to just natively cool it. And that happens with heavy precipitation in the form of snow that cools the column, lowers the pressure, and you wind up getting snow at the surface, which could be heavy. And that's why those totals were impressive, because if it were to have happened for us, it would have been heavy. And where it happens to the east of us, it will be heavy.
Right. So this is all rate-driven sort of snow here. The heavier the rain, the more likely it is to switch to snow. Conversely, you could have light rain and heavy snow just within a few miles of each other in a situation like this. Dynamic cooling events are a mess. And typically, they happen with a warm ground. So your roads are typically just wet. And in this situation, I think that's going to be the case, too.
Yeah, so if you're a snow lover watching, we hate to disappoint, but we'll go ahead and tell you right off the bat, not going to get any snow tonight. Temperatures are starting to drop into the 30s to the south, Litchfield, Munfordville, Lebanon, areas to the north still in the 40s. We're at 49, Louisville. The Weather Service eventually will be trimming back even more counties. They've taken Franklin, Washington, and LaRue out, still holding on to Marion, Greene, Taylor, and Adair. But that's wishful thinking, I think, even for those folks. You can see the pavement temperatures are well above freezing. So, again, even if we were to see snow, which we're banking we're not going to see any in our viewing area, outside of a few flakes mixing in with rain perhaps down there, that it would not last long. But the thing is, in dynamic cooling, it happens so fast. So that was where we were starting to think, well, we could have some travel problems if it were to have happened. All right. So there's lots of looking back in this wave weather now hit. All right. Let's show you what's going on in Louisville. Nothing.
Goose egg.
Nothing's going to happen. We're going to stay dry here, it looks like. That rain got as close to us as Ryan mentioned up toward Mount Washington. It is now pushing to our south, and it really has more of an eastward movement now than anything. Eventually, it will jog to the north, but you can see sort of where that banding would have occurred if we could have cooled that column down.
Right, and you see where it's like red and orange on the radar right here, and you're probably thinking, good grief, it's raining like cats and dogs down there. And while the rainfall rates are pretty decent, it's not as heavy as what it looks like on the radar because of what's called bright banding. Essentially, there are snowflakes way up in the clouds that are starting to melt. And as that happens, as you get a snowflake that's covered in kind of like this layer of liquid water here, when the radar beam hits that, it is like super reflective. So it reflects right back to the radar site and tells the radar, hey, this pixel right here needs to be like super high value, like super red, almost purple, when in reality, the actual precipitation rate is much lower. So that bright banding, that melting snow scenario up in the clouds is happening from Bardstown to E-Town down toward Litchfield. And notice how the precipitation's already starting to push to the south and east. We're starting to see those rates come down a bit. There's just not going to be enough time for a lot of overlap, Kevin, between where we still have precipitation, where it can dynamically cool enough to get to be snow, and for the overall cooling of the nighttime to happen. All those three things have to come together. That's tough.
Well, and it's really tough to forecast because all of those things are changing constantly. And so we're trying to determine, is the column cooling? One, how fast is the precip moving? Two, second, what about temperatures both in the surrounding environment, but more importantly, as we mentioned, within that column for dynamic cooling. So we've got so many things in motion that you're trying to keep up with. And typically it would always be on the back edge of the precip. We already see where that is. Even if it were to happen, it's a race against time. There should be no consequence. We have picked up tremendous amounts of water out of the deal, though. You can see Litchfield over an inch of rain. Same story down at Horse Cave. And parts of Hart County over an inch. There's Campbellsville. Even Adair County. So lots of 1-inch reports of rainfall down there, not snow.
Can you imagine if it were all snow?
Oh, man. That was the thing. I mean, it had potential for a minute. On the back edge of this, again, you can see down toward Memphis showing some snow on the reflectivity there. Again, this is all going to lift off to the north and east. It'll probably really deliver the biggest snow up around the bigger cities in the Northeast. So we'll wait and see. You know, New York's been snow starved for so long. Yeah. They haven't had decent snow in 2 years. This could be their largest snow. But for us, it looks to be a rainmaker. In our viewing area, parts of eastern Kentucky still have the opportunity to see some of that snowfall.
Look at all these winter storm warnings up toward New York City, Connecticut, Boston, Rhode Island, even eastern PA getting in on the action there. Again, this is the same system, but look how wimpy the winter weather advisories are in our area. And as that confidence continues to grow that we're not going to see much overnight tonight, I think we're going to mop up most of these patches of purple in Kentucky and Tennessee. Unfortunately for you snow lovers, it just isn't looking good. Can't get those things to align at this point.
Yeah, and we'll just call it the way we see it right now, and that is little to no snow in the 30 counties that we serve. We knew that was going to be the case for about 25 of the counties. The ones in the very southern part of the viewing area were a question mark earlier, and we kept sort of dialing it back, and now we're finally like, all right, well, it's just not going to happen. It can't happen at this point for most of those counties that we were watching.
At some point, you just got to cut your losses on this sort of situation here, because I think that all of the downgrading of everything that we've seen today has been so quick that a lot of folks that have maybe seen us in the last 24 hours and are just tuning in now are going, whoa, what has happened here? And wow, yeah, if you've been like out of the loop, this is a big change, but this is fast.
Well, this is the way the weather works.
Yes.
I mean, we deal with this every day. It's just usually not as noticeable. So that's the wild part about this.
If there weren't a precipitation type involved with this,
right,
most folks wouldn't realize it. They go, oh, yeah, I guess it just didn't rain that much today. No big deal.
That gets them.
And so there's more attention on it, and you've got that extra parameter of precipitation type, and that just throws everything into chaos.
Well, it's such a higher impact when you have snow involved, and had that happened and at the rate we anticipated, because this is a high rate event. It just happens to be rain at this point. The cooling is not going to take place fast enough before the precip is exhausted. With that said, had it happened, we would have wound up with several inches of snow. Doesn't matter the ground temperature. I mean, it would have melted some, but it still, for a period of time, would have caused some issues. And that's why, if you were watching Wave News earlier, we're really trying to hammer home that while impacts would have been possible, they would have been limited both in space or geography, because it was such a narrow area that would have been impacted, and by time. So those were the two sort of catalysts that we were having to work with.
And these dynamic cooling snows are super common, like in the Mid-South, the Deep South, and here too. And the thing is that when you get those rates high enough to overcome the ground temperature, that's when you can get, big traffic tie-ups, even when it's like 33, 34 degrees. That was our concern. But if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. And even Futurecast here, is just really backing off.
Yeah, and even if we were to mix in, and I don't think it's impossible to see a few snowflakes, by the way. I just think that the impact is non-existent, right. So that's why we've let the alert day go. That's why when you look at these maps, you're not going to see a large accumulation across our area. It just captures it at the very end, and then it's out of here. We clear the skies, we cool it down. We'll be in the 30s overnight, but likely most of us still just above freezing. So our revised snow map looks like this. Less than an inch across our southern counties, over toward London, maybe down toward Lake Cumberland, and then points off to the north and east, perhaps a little more.
This is snow deprivation syndrome right here on a map. We went from something possibly for Louisville, something possibly, kind of very impactful, to this is what we're down to now. So for you snow lovers out there, unfortunately, this is pretty much the end for the most part of this system, and we'll have to see how things transpire over the next few weeks. It is February 12th today. So we've got about a month and a couple weeks, maybe a month and a half of like functional winter time left. So we're starting to draw that down. We're starting to count down the days here. I don't think we're completely done with snow or anything like that this winter, by the way.
It's getting close.
Yeah, but we're starting to run out of what I call that functional winter time. Again, you can still get snows in the spring.
Well, sometimes we get our biggest snows, and it's because of situations just like this. But they're very hard to get,
yes,
and they're very hard to nail down.
So we're not saying winter's over, anything like that, but keep an eye on the clock. Clock is ticking. And this snow event's not going to be the one.
All right, let's take some of your questions here. We'll put up your comments. I'm going to go, let me dial back the radar up so you can see that. So I'll pop the radar.
Just so we can rub it in everybody's faces.
Yeah,
no snow here.
Long.
Not even rain in Louisville tonight. Not that we need any.
No, I was kind of glad it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't mess up my car.
Right. It's been nice to get rid of this drought. It's been nice to see the rain, this winter, just to kind of get us ready for the spring here. But we do need a little break.
All right, a lot of folks saying hi. There's Janice saying
hello,
hi.
Janice.
Pouring down in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Comment there.
South of Frankfurt.
Amanda. Connie just saying hi.
Hello, Connie.
And I'm going to go through the hellos. These were in there earlier. We'll go, friends from Delaware chiming in. There's Joan from Delaware. Hello. She wants us to know that she's there too. And here's one from YouTube.
Saying, Rascal Girl 84.
Yeah.
So happy you guys do these live streams. Well, thank you for watching us on YouTube. That's an emerging platform for us, and we're happy to serve you there.
Yeah, exactly. And Adam brings up the point we've been talking about. Interesting how Indiana had the winter weather advisory last night, now nothing. Yeah. And that's been the trend. Because it's happened so fast, the models can't keep up. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a constant shift south, and they never did catch up along the whole way with this. And when that's all we have to go on, because when we're looking at, until we can see the radar, now, we threw the models out. You probably saw even on the Futurecast, it tries to bring in some snow. About 2 hours ago, really it was during the 6 o'clock hour, we were like, you know what, we should see something by now that would help give us a little more confidence. Talking with the Weather Service, they were still going to hold on to the fact that, well, they're not willing to give up just yet, because they noticed on some of the radars that the melting layer was lowering.
We looked at that. Yeah.
And we're like, well, we can see it, but by the point that even happens, there can be little impact out of that, because that's the back edge of the precip, and it's going to be out of here.
Yeah, the train had already left the station by that point, unfortunately. So it's too little, too late.
All right, let's jump back in. Sean says, make the snow come to Louisville.
If only we could.
It would be like what snow, though, right? Yeah. All right, and here's another one. Gary, all right, the snow excitement went bust.
Yep.
Let's get spring action going. Bots, bring on the spring. Yeah, I'm on Gary's train here. Yeah,
Let's get this.
bring on the spring is right.
Let's do it.
Or summer.
That sounds good,
Suits
too.
me even more. There have been big snows in March. No question.
Oh,
about
my
that.
gosh.
I mean, some of our larger snows, in fact.
March 8th, 2008. That was a big one, 10 inches.
Because of the moisture content.
Yes.
We have so much more moisture.
Right. So you're starting to warm up the atmosphere for spring. So you got a lot more water to work with for big snows in March.
Amanda, yay, no snow.
No snow. Oh, well.
All right. A lot of YouTubers on. Here's Wyatt.
Hey, Matthew. Hello.
Matthew's there too.
Oh, boy.
All right. This one's too long. It won't fit on there. So
yeah, sorry.
I'm not even going to put it
Yeah.
on. What is Tina saying? I'll read it if I can.
Oh, boy.
Or maybe I don't want to. Is that what you're boing? You can see it. I can.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah.
Sum it up.
She's like, why do you even predict snow at this point?
They'll see she's a snow lover. She don't
Yeah.
disappoint.
Almost every time the pattern showing a possible snow, the track dissipates or blows off course. We have gotten snow this winter, by the way. Like, let's call a spade a spade. It has snowed in this city. It's just that this particular system was just not going to work out.
What about the rain? Why is she not comment on the rain? Tina, what about rain? We forecast all this stuff. You can't blame it on the snow just because it didn't happen one time. Are you kidding me? No. Don't jump in here and start chirping like that. Now I see why you were saying, oh my goodness.
Well, we can't post paragraphs on this live stream
Well,
either.
I'll put it up, but you're not going to be able to. No.
Oh, actually, it'll do it.
I didn't realize they would even do that. Well, there it is. You all can read it. Here's the deal. We don't do it for likes or hits. Trust me, I'd rather be taking my dinner break, eating my Taco Bell back in my office, but that's not the case.
That sounds really good right now, by the way.
Did you eat today?
I did eat,
Okay.
yes.
Sometimes we don't even have time to eat.
Yes.
So anyway, bottom line is we thought it was going to snow all the way up until about 6 o'clock today. And then we kept, even at 3 o'clock, we kept dialing it back, but still thought our southern counties had the potential until about 6 o'clock. And then we really started hammering in that, well, it's not going to happen here. But some places it could still happen off to our east, south and east. So that's the deal. Until you can understand how the atmosphere works and how complicated it really is in trying to nail down, especially a scenario like this, then it's best to leave those kind of comments to yourself. All right. Let's talk about Sarah.
I'm up north. Bring up the snow. Bring on the snow.
When you're used to the snow, you really want it because you miss it. Like,
it's nostalgic for a lot of people, right?
So
I can see that.
Sean is asking, how much snow did we get?
March 3rd, 2012, after the Henryville tornado.
It was several inches. I mean, like I can't remember right off the top of my head. I remember being in it when we were surveying the damage and the snow.
Right. Yeah, those images were wild. I remember the video of the snow on the ground in the aftermath of that. 3 to 4, does that sounds right to me. I wasn't actually here during that, but I was very close to being here. So just trying to remember back.
There's
hello, Orange Juice 269.
Saying hello. Appreciate that. And there's Anonymous. Looked yesterday. No chances for. I know. I think all of us got excited. You know, everybody had things going on this weekend, but even as a team, we were all communicating because of the snow chance. And we're like, okay, well, let's raise the flag for the alert day so we can make sure people know that there's impact in at least some parts. But the message from our team yesterday internally, just so you know, a little inside baseball, was that we had to be careful how we talked about it because we didn't want everybody to think we were going to get snow because we knew that it would only affect a small portion of our viewing area. And boy, that's real different than if it's just going to snow in all 30 counties. So we had to try to really hone in that message. And we spend a lot of time narrowing that down.
And that's tough because, you know, so many folks are looking for like just a one sentence forecast, right? This is not a one sentence forecast type of day here. There's a lot of qualifiers. There's a lot of if this, then that, and in this area. So you have to pay really close attention. And I know where 7 seconds is all the attention span we have these days. That's tough to do.
5.
But at best, sometimes it's 3. You got to really pay attention. You got to be thorough. You got to read through this stuff that we're putting out because we just can't give it to you in 3 or 5 seconds.
Yeah. And especially when one person's in Seymour, the next person's in Corydon. You've got one in Henry County, another one in Taylor County.
We have a lot of lines of latitude
very different
that we have to deal with here. We're a big viewing area, 30 counties, a lot of different weather.
All right, here's Debbie, and I believe it's the same Debbie down in Bardstown. So
Debbie Ballard, yes.
So when is the next opportunity for this snow maniac? Well, there is a small chance, very small chance, as we go into the weekend. So Friday night, Saturday, we're going to have another rainmaker that should likely end with cooler temperatures coming in. But again, too far away to really know on that. Low confidence would be in the forecast for that type of precipitation.
And that's why we were not really talking about it at the moment. The reason being is we need this system that you see on the radar here to get out of here so that we can have a better sampling of what's going to happen later in the week. We'll see what this system leaves behind for the next one to work with.
Brianna is asking about snow in Springfield. Nope. No snow. No snow anywhere in our viewing area. Maybe a few flakes mixing in down to the south, but no accumulation.
We need that Family Feud buzzer in here today. Yeah. You don't get snow.
No snow for you. It's like the Saturday Night Live skit. No snow for you.
No snow for you.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, because it's from Seinfeld.
Oh, Seinfeld. That's what I meant.
No snow for you.
They did mock it on Saturday
They
Night
did.
Live.
They did. Yeah. You were hey, right network. You had the right network, so that's good. And the right period of time.
NBC.
Right.
It's the only one I've ever heard of.
4 networks? I think there's one. Oops.
Yeah, right. Never heard of them. All right, here's one. Kathy is asking, will this finally help clear out the drought? Well, we certainly had wiped that out with that rain that we had back to back to back. It was like 4 days of rain, 6 inches of rain.
January was wet.
Yeah, very wet. So
that really helped us out.
The drought is no longer, Kathy. So that's some good news there.
Yeah, because it's no fun when you're in a drought, especially going into the spring, because you want all your seeds to, of course, grow. You want the grass to be green. So we really need to get that soil moisture up.
Oh, there's Laura, my friend Laura.
Hey, Laura.
She's responsible for that weather rock in the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I know her from. Yeah.
She says, what do you guys do? Keep doing what you guys are doing. Y'all rock.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys, everybody. And we like, I'm no opponent to criticism because frankly, I always felt that criticism is what makes you better. So I appreciate all the comments. And sometimes I get a little wordy on here. It's
don't throw stones from a glass house, as they say. That's
what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah.
I don't live in a glass house, thankfully.
Exactly right. Got some bricks.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Trust me. Don't I know? I have the weather service calling me here in a minute. Like, hey, don't. Yeah, we're not the ones that bash the weather service.
We love those guys. Seriously.
All right. Here we go. Danny has the right idea. I mean, blame Punxsutawney Phil. It's the groundhog's fault. We knew it would be a rodent.
Don't trust a rodent to do your forecast.
All right. You want to take one? I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
No, that's all right.
The mouse.
Hello, Dale. Will it get cold enough for rain to freeze and make icy slick spots in the morning? This is something that Brian Good talked about in his internal discussion with us this morning. And, we kind of looked over it too. But I don't think so. And a couple of reasons why. One, I don't think a lot of us get below freezing tonight. In fact, I think the vast majority of our area will be between 32 and 34 degrees. So that's strike one. Strike two of two here is the speed in which this thing gets out of here and the kind of lack of gusty winds the gusty winds, I should say, that we're having now mops up the roads. And of course, as that temperature drops, it would be kind of too little too late. The roads would be kind of dry by the time we get into tomorrow morning. So I don't think we'll have a flash freeze event, as that would be called.
Yeah, and I don't see that. Not with these temperatures in the 30s and even
37 is the lowest right now. I mean, that's not going to do it.
No.
There's just no way.
All right. Let's see. I'm waiting for the computer to catch up. Spencer County, there's Gina just saying it's just rain. That's what it's going to be. There's Dale or Greg asking about Elizabethtown, just rain. That's all it's going to be. And in fact, in E-Town, that rain's probably going to be ending within the next 2 hours. So probably 9 o'clock, probably 11 to midnight, the rain's already out of there.
Yeah, by 1 a.m., all precip is done in our area, the way it looked a few minutes ago. I was looking at that.
And a lot of folks asking about their neighborhoods. Again, it's all the same. There's no rain from the Ohio River north. That includes us in Louisville. 0 rain. Not going to see it. And then areas to our south, it's just rain. And there may be a couple snowflakes that mix in, down in our southernmost counties.
Will KTP get snow? No, the Kentucky truck plant won't get snow. You're still going to have to go to work. I see that the ulterior motive here, Hunter. I see how that is.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And for those of you asking,
will there be school tomorrow?
The answer is yes. Meade County is bone dry, according to Danny. Yep. Look at the radar. You guys have zilch over
They're
here
in the
right
same
now.
category we are. And so is Breckenridge County, so is Bullitt County, so is Oldham County, and a good chunk of Henry County.
That's kind of that.
That's the way it's going to be.
I mean, yeah, what you see is what you get here. The rain will not increase. It will only decrease from here forward.
Teacher who needs a snow day.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Riley.
Let's just have an end. Well, you know what? Here's the deal. With the way the schools are now, because it's like, I mean, they pull the trigger instantly, or lever, whatever you want to call it, on NTI. You know, it's like, we'll just learn from home today.
It's easy to do when you've got the infrastructure in place now. Oh, how the pandemic changed things.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, I'm glad that I went to school before all that mess. NTI, that does not sound like fun to me.
I don't think I would have never gotten anything done.
There's so many people who I think would have a challenge with that. And you might be one of them. I might be one of them. I don't know.
I like, being able to see people. I don't do well just like if I'm assigned a task in front of a computer by myself.
I would probably concentrate better, but I would miss a change of environment. I think that's how I would be.
Yeah. All right. Here's a rain question.
Yep.
Nancy is asking, when will it stop raining in Adair County? It's coming down in buckets. Well, it's going to be a little while. I'll put the map into motion here and you can see.
But the final answer on that's around midnight to 1 a.m. for you down there, Nancy. But you'll see on the radar how you've got some time left. I mean, the rain goes all the way north to the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways, of course, leaving us dry here in Louisville. But you guys are waterlogged down there for some time. And you may pick up another, maybe half inch of rain. You might end up with an inch and a half, maybe inch and 3/4 down there near Columbia, based on what we're seeing here on the radar. There's that area of low pressure, by the way, just south of us in the Tennessee Valley. I was looking back at some prior model runs of this system from yesterday and comparing it to today. And that area of low pressure went about 75-ish miles south. All in all, between yesterday and today in its track. So it was originally supposed to take that purple line track there just south of Lexington. And now it may not even enter the state of Kentucky and stay mostly in Tennessee and then head up through Virginia. And
of course, that kept the rain shield just south of Louisville.
Yeah.
75 miles would have had us and our southern Indiana counties in that rain.
Easily.
Still a question on if snow would have happened. We don't know that answer.
Right.
That's all depending on the column cooling, but it will take it off to the north and east eventually, and those folks up that way will see some snow.
Yeah, Adam's saying Memphis 1, wave country 0, because look at the dynamic cooling taking place in Memphis right now. At least the radar algorithm says it's snowing down there, but it may very well be. We'll see.
All right, let's see. So Dale's just chiming in with the rain total. We always appreciate those.
0.58 in Cecilia.
Half an inch of rain.
Wow.
Parts of southern Hardin County there. All right. Let's see. Lots of sun and a beautiful sunset in Bloomington.
You guys were just north of that cloud shield there, so you got a beautiful sunset. And you got to actually see the sun, which is nice. We got a little sunshine here too today. Which is nice.
A lot of. That was nice through the morning hours, and that helped out too. That really warmed things up. So that's nice.
Yeah, when you warm up the ground like that, and you warm up sort of like the base layer of the atmosphere, that can influence what goes on above too. So if you get warmer than expected, that can sometimes put the brakes on yourself.
Right. Yeah, this was kind of funny because this was an interim. We were talking about this because no sooner than we could type our messages back and forth to one another, we're like, well, there went that forecast discussion because it was changing faster than we could keep up with through the weekend. So that's funny you mentioned that, Chris. You're right, and it wasn't just Carson; it was all of us. We were all chiming in, and every time we'd chime in, we'd be like, "Woo! Did you see that 12Z data? That went nuts!" And then we were like, "Oh no! Look at the 0Z data."
Now we're in trouble. So Carson was just kind of the face of the worst of this, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we love you, Carson. That was his second weekend working here, and he dealt with a confirmed tornado, 2 confirmed tornadoes, one in Henry, one in Clark, and then this mess that happened, lack thereof, today. So, hey, guys, second weekend here, and he's already been thrown to the wolves. So
every season, all in 2 days.
Poor Carson. Yes, we appreciate Carson and his hard work this weekend, despite the having to crumple up everything and throw it in the waste bin, unfortunately.
Yes. All right, here's one from Orange Juice 269. What's creating that occluded front down south? It looks complicated.
Ooh.
Well, there are lots of troughs and occluded fronts and the stationary front. And then, of course, north is the cold front. When we stack the area of low pressure, that's when we get the front that's occluded. So that's the cause of it. The result of it is going to be sort of a transition of energy to the north and east. And we're on the back side of this. And that's another part of the reason. So it's no longer strengthening. That could be part of the reason we didn't cool our column down fast enough. So many things would go into why we didn't cool our column down fast enough or anywhere along that bright band line, whereas Memphis, obviously the radar indicates that it has.
A dynamic cooling event and or an ice storm. Those are two of like the most complicated things with the most variables that we can forecast around here. You'll notice that both of those things are the ones that we really pull our hair out over. And this was another episode of that today. I'm starting to get more gray hair after this weekend looking at all the data, unfortunately.
Just be glad you have it.
Well, I won't
give
say
it another
anything
20
about
years. Here's Pamela saying, why is snow so hard to predict? Snow just gets a lot more attention for one. So part of it is a perception, right? Because it matters. Every, tenth of an inch really matters. But when we forecast rain, we don't have to give the precise totals because it's so forgiving. It doesn't impact people as much as snow. So part of it is our rain forecasts don't have to be as specific as the snow forecast. So it's not like it's any harder to predict in that sense. But when we're looking at something like today, the dynamic cooling, that does get complicated and that gets hard because it's, we're looking at equations of motion for every part of the atmosphere, both in the vertical and the horizontal space. So it's just tough. And, sometimes these types of snow scenarios are high bust potential. And I said that at the beginning of every newscast today. I was like, there is a high bust potential, letting people know that, while we're saying there's a snow chance to our south, there may not wind up any snow. So we always knew in our head today was not a lock. We're not locked into it.
We call this a low confidence forecast. And boy, this is about as low as it can get. Adam says this is better than primetime TV. Well, that's high praise.
Well, that's because there's not, what do we have, ice skating on or something?
AGT.
Oh, AGT. Well, that's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's actually not bad.
Yeah.
We're in good shape there.
I've been watching, well, this isn't on NBC. I probably shouldn't say it. Anyway.
Wow.
I don't even think it's on any. Well, no, wait a minute. I think it's on Peacock.
Oh, if it's on Peacock,
So
we can
that's
talk
the
about
same
it because
network.
we're on Peacock too. You can.
Yeah, it's not like NBC pays us anyway, right?
That's true.
Because they don't.
That's true.
Last
Yeah.
check, they've never sent me
It's true.
a paycheck.
This is really getting into inside baseball here.
But it's called Traders.
Oh, Traders.
Yeah, it's kind of a reality
Yeah, I've
show
heard of
that
that.
uses kind of reality TV people and, either you're, well, you just have to watch it. It's a really good show.
Okay, I'll watch it. I don't know the premise, but I've
over
heard of it.
several, well, it's in season 2, but several episodes
Okay.
within the season. So
All right.
it's a lot of strategy involved.
Ooh, strategy.
So,
All
yeah.
right. That's good. I like a good brain teaser. That's
Yeah.
good.
All right, check it out.
Oh, well. Oh,
Here we
gosh.
go. All right.
Well,
Dale,
here we are. Okay. I was waiting for this one. I was waiting for this.
Were you even alive in 96?
Yes, 94, by the way. Yes. The snow came up.
94.
The snow came up to my waist. I do remember. I went out my front door in Worthington Hills and was like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble.
Yes. So Dale
do
wants to know,
remember.
how does this compare to 94 when we're supposed to get flurries and woke up to 16 inches of snow? Yeah. Back then, that was a different scenario, but similar in the sense that dynamic cooling was involved.
It played a factor, yeah.
But it rushed in with that colder air on the backside of that. So there was a lot more colder air at play that transitioned the precip to snow
Right.
much faster than anyone anticipated. So it would be a scenario where we have this, but the colder air was missed.
Yeah. And since we don't have the colder air at play, by the way, this cannot bust in that way. This precipitation's already exiting. Whereas in that situation, we had a whole bunch more precipitation left to go as the cold air was intruding. So just not a completely different scenario, but enough of a difference that it won't do that again this time.
Yeah, and Adam points out that the model data is so much different. Yeah, back then we were looking at, Difax maps that would be printed out on a dot matrix printer and trying to hold them up, comparing run to run that you would not get nearly as frequently as the high-res models that come out today.
Absolutely.
That are all in color and you can pick them apart and line them up. So,
yeah, sometimes we have too much data these days, and that can be a good and a bad thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. And then Nick's just like, all right, we're just going to get 4 inches of rain now instead. Probably seems like that. No, we haven't had a drop. I was like, well.
Yeah, not a drop in Louisville, but I mean, we've had 1 inch plus totals across central and southern Kentucky. So, while not 4 inches of rain, at least an inch or so down there where they're getting a pretty good load of rainfall down there just near the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways here.
I'm going to punch up the 10-day here. It'll take a second just to pop in. But you'll see,
ta-da.
There it is. The Valentine's Day forecast looks good. Tomorrow actually looks good too.
Yeah.
And 50 is close to average. That's about where we should be for this time of year. We'll see another nice day on a Wednesday. And then we have that Friday system that moves in. And this is the one that is sort of interesting in terms of it starts as rain, but as those temperatures cool down, because you'll notice the time is at night, we may wind up seeing a few snowflakes to end that system. But the greater chance, again, north and east this time as that pushes past. So
womp womp. Look, north and east again. I mean, gosh, if you want snow, move north at this point. That's just kind of it's how this theme of this winter has been. We've had some snow events. We've got some inches of snow on the board. And hey, this is better than last winter, mind you, when we had, I think we tied for the lowest amount of snowfall in a calendar year.
Yeah.
In 2023.
1.13, is that what it was? Something
like that. Yeah, but it was back in the 1920s is when we tied with 1924. I remember it was exactly 100 years apart, roughly. 1923. There we go. So I thought that was really interesting, but not as bad as that.
Here's Tammy. I put her comment.
Hey, Tammy.
Tammy worked here forever.
Oh yeah,
and so did her husband. And she's right. She's seen us pull our hair out more than once around here too. So it is a tough part of the country.
She was here for 94, I think. So she gets it.
Yeah. Sure, she was sleeping here.
Oh my gosh!
Everybody else.
Yeah, stories from that.
And Nick's like, just bring on the 60s. And he said, no 60s in the 10-day, Nick. Sorry, but sooner than later. I was glad to get a few last week. That was nice.
That was fine. It felt like April around here. Springuary is what I'm calling it, not February.
I did notice the tulips were popping up in the weather garden.
Oh, are they already?
Yeah,
I didn't see that yet. I gotta go out and look at them.
So. Hopefully we don't get too cold.
Yeah, you don't want to get like a teens or single digits after those start coming up, or else they're gone.
There's a net down in Loretto, Marion County, down near Maker's Mark. It's pouring down here. Pouring rain or bourbon?
Both. You can have both, right?
My brother owns Loretto Foodland, which is pretty much next door down there. So
that's a beautiful part of the country.
That's where my my mom's family was all from, Loretto.
Yeah, Kevin has like 1,000 cousins down in Marion County.
My mom was the oldest of 13.
We went down to Ham Days down there.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I just started working here at Wave, and I swear to you, everyone I met was related to Kevin Harned, or at least claimed to be.
Welcome to Kentucky.
Yes, and don't get me started on us going down to Bardstown, how that was like. Same deal.
It's fun. When we all get together, and I don't always have a chance to get together with all my cousins and family, but they all still get together every holiday. So it's like 100 people.
Well, do you have to like rent out like a gym for that or something? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's a community center. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing to me. I love that though. You guys all stay so close.
Oh man, yeah. And like I said, I don't see them as often as I'd like to, but they are all super close.
Oh, that's
my
wonderful.
Mom and her sisters especially.
Yeah, that's so important. I love that.
All right, let's see. Want snow, not rain, Linda. And we've got, now they're like protesting in the room. All right.
Pitchforks and torches. Here we go.
Who should we call? Find the phone.
We don't control the weather, I promise.
I was sort of hoping, secretly, over the weekend when all the data was coming in and that moved south, I was like, like we finally got a chance to get a big snow. Because these dynamic cooling events, they can really just wallop.
And then travel's bad for like a short time, and then it's fine, and it melts, right? And you get your snow numbers up, and everybody's like, okay, yeah, we've had a good one here. But the impact is
minimal.
Is short period.
Yes.
So like kids can still kind of go to school, you can still build a kind of a wet snowman out of that, but we can't even get that.
It's really the perfect type of snow.
Is.
And I was like, oh man, we're going to get out. I even got I was like making sure I had my snow shovel ready to go. I love to get out in it, so that's the heavy snow too. Ooh.
And that's what they call heart attack snow.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be very careful not to overwork yourself when you're working out in the snow, when it gets that heavy and that wet. You're adding pounds to your snow shovel when it's that of wet and heavy of a snow. It's never good.
All right. Here's Sherry asking, what about Monday? Snow by any chance? No.
Negative. 20% chance of
no
partly
snow.
Sunny skies there. And maybe a sprinkle.
Here's Carolyn. We drove from Athens, Alabama today, and it rained all the way until we reached Mount Washington.
Yeah, that's about right.
58 degrees when we left Alabama, 48 when we got here.
Yeah, you got to Mount Washington right at the peak of the rain and how far north it was going to be. So if you had waited even an hour or two to drive, you would have broken out of that rain a little earlier the way it was.
Jeffrey says got a lot of rain here in Wards, Kentucky. All right.
Oh my gosh. We've got all sorts
Adam giving us a shout out. Much better than the Indy meteorologists.
Oh, okay.
My friend Angela Buckman works at the NBC station up there.
And of course, Sean Ash up there is from PRP.
Yep. I'm trying to think.
Who else do we know?
Oh, gosh. Well, Chuck Lofton, he's been there forever. So, no Chuck.
Yes.
Chris Wright. Oh, and then you can't forget Bob Gregory and his son, Kevin Gregory, is still up there.
Oh, the Gregorys.
They're Purdue grads.
Yeah.
Kevin's a Purdue grad.
Right. I love this YouTube comment because it's not gibberish, by the way. It is not gibberish because because it is literally a blue penguin waving with a tear coming down his eye saying, well, Phil, was he right? Might not be. It's basically describing a GIF sticker that you can put on YouTube, by the way. So like that's not gibberish. I think that was kind of cool.
That took a lot of typing.
I know. Jeez. Wow.
Oh, here's Mike. He's saying it's sunny in Clearwater. Nice.
Hush.
Sunny and like probably 80. Not so much.
Oh, that sounds really good right now.
Okay, here, I'm going to go with Samuel on this one. Samuel, I'm going to use your forecast at 11, all right?
I guess
no snow here.
Back to you.
Back to you.
That's it. Bottom line, period, dot, finished.
Have we told the newsroom that it's not going to snow?
Somebody did ask, like, is it an alert day at 11? And no, not anymore. Not after this. Like, we're cooked. It's rain, and even then, it's south of Louisville here.
It's party time.
We have pulled the alert day. We've kind of like the hook that they would put on the Broadway stage and yank the performer off. That's, I think that's getting ready to be what we are here too.
All right. Wet roads, that's what we've got. We're going to go and look at one final thing. We did just update the app before we came into this room.
It's all good.
So everything should be good, but we'll make one more pass at it. We're going to say goodbye for now. Hope you guys will join us on Wave News at 11 o'clock, and we will be back then with a new update, and we'll now focus on Friday and see what's going to happen there. Will it be rain, or will it be rain and a little bit of snow? Too early to tell.
Bring on the sunshine. We'll see you.